So in today's video, we're going to talk about toxic shame. Now, this is the second video I have done on shame. I'm Athena from Courage Coaching. If you've not been to my channel before, welcome. Thank you very much for watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then please subscribe to my channel. So shame in general is a fundamental emotion that is very important in order for us to understand how we relate to others, how our relationships are with others. Without shame, we wouldn't really know what is and what isn't appropriate. If we didn't have shame, we would go out there doing all sorts of inappropriate things and saying all sorts of inappropriate things. And that's not how you want to be. So healthy shame keeps us in check and helps us make sure that we don't interfere too much in other people's lives, that we don't say inappropriate things, that we don't hurt people too much. And it allows us to understand and to know when to apologize if we have done something wrong. However, if we have grown up in homes where we were made to feel inadequate, or we may have had problems with other children where, for instance, we were picked on, shame then becomes a constant in our life. And we don't want to live with a constant sense of shame. So the term toxic shame describes the person whose thoughts, feelings, and behaviors were repeatedly shamed in childhood. Shame becomes part of somebody's identity when their parents weren't able to act as healthy role models. Then a child will grow up into an adult that feels that they are a flawed human being. So if we are constantly shamed in our childhood, we will grow up thinking that there's something wrong with us. And this will be the message that replays in our head. Now, Dr. Bradshaw wrote a book called Healing the Shame That Binds You, and he is quoted saying, if our primary caregivers are shame-based, they will act shameless and they will pass their toxic shame onto us. There is no way to teach self-value if one does not value themselves. Toxic shame can be multi-generational, and it can be passed on from one generation to the next. Shame-based people find other shame-based people and tend to get married. As each member of a couple carries the shame from their own family system, the marriage will then be grounded in their own shame core. The major outcome of this will be a lack of intimacy. It's difficult to let someone get close to you if you feel defective and flawed as a human being. Shame-based couples maintain non-intimacy through poor communication, non-productive circular fighting, games, manipulation, vying for control, withdrawal, blaming, and confluence. Confluence is the agreement never to disagree. Confluence creates pseudo-intimacy. Toxic shame can be seen in people with narcissistic personality, but it can also be carried around by the children of these people. So toxic shame often leads to self-loathing, low confidence, depression, and sometimes you may even feel suicidal because you feel so worthless and so down, and you really, really do not like who you are as a person. Toxic shame generally tends to take over in our life, and it will shape the way that we think and the way that we feel about ourselves, and we will be constantly negative about ourselves, and we will feel inferior. Now, to overcome toxic shame, what can we do? Obviously, therapy is very good for dealing with toxic shame, but you also have to go on a journey where you heal the child within you, where you give that child within you the nurturing and the love that child never received in your childhood. Now, luckily, we can train our minds to think more positively, and then we can change our lives. We have to develop self-love. Now, this comes from what I mentioned earlier, healing the child within. You have to learn to love yourself unconditionally. This is easier said than done, but having a dialogue with yourself in a loving manner, being self-compassionate, getting into a habit of talking to yourself in a positive way will be very, very healing. We need to learn to forgive ourselves. We did not harm ourselves, nor did we give ourselves toxic shame. This is something that we learned. So we have to work on changing this. We are adults now and we are responsible for ourselves. Nobody else is going to make us better. We have to do the work. We have to do the healing. Another thing we need to do is we need to grieve the wounds from our past. We need to accept that we had a difficult childhood. We need to grieve for the parents that we didn't have, for the love and acceptance that we didn't have, for the validation that we didn't have. Unless we grieve and we fully go through this, the feeling of shame, of toxic shame, will not just disappear. We have to put in the hard work in order to help ourselves on that journey. Now, one important exercise that you can do to get you started is to look in a mirror and look at yourself. Do that as often as you can and accept the reflection in the mirror. Accept that you are a lovable, worthy, deserving person. As humans, we may think that loving ourselves is a bit of a joke. People might laugh at us, but actually loving yourself is the most caring thing you can do. If you don't love yourself first, how are you going to have healthy relationships? How are you going to be able to live a happy and healthy life? You need to start healing yourself. So look in the mirror and say the following: I love you and I want the best for you. You deserve respect, love, validation, and compassion. You are a loving human being that deserves the same love and the same commitment that you give to others. You deserve to be appreciated. You deserve to be accepted, no matter how many flaws you think you may have. You are equal to all other human beings. You deserve a life of love. But firstly, you have to love yourself. Do this daily. It may feel really awkward at first to do this. You may think it's ridiculous. You may find it completely uncomfortable. You may find it very awkward. But this is the start. You need to train your mind into believing that you are a lovable person and you don't need to feel this constant toxic shame. You need to find ways to elevate your self-esteem. It is possible, but it does take practice and commitment, and you have to work at it. Things don't just go away on their own. If you need support with this feeling of toxic shame, then please get in touch. I really hope that this video made sense. I really hope you found it helpful, and thank you very much for watching and listening, and I will see you in my next